Alright, in this battle report we're going to see Doomshaper 3's tier, the movable mountain. Benefits are +2 speed first round of the game, +2 armor first round of the game, and that's kind of where I ended the ones that mattered. You did get +1 to your start roll for the game. I didn't take it to tier 4 because I didn't have my gargantuans with me this day. Same opponent from my last battle report, another Legion. This time he's running Veil 1, a Angelius, another Scythian, and the heavy beast with 4 wings on it that gives everything slipstream, and Typhon along with the pot and a I think it's a min unit of Hex Hunters. I won first go, so we'll see what happens. So this picture is the bottom of turn 1. I forgot to take a picture at the end of my first turn, but essentially everything I had ran up, including the Fire Eaters. They didn't run as far as they could. I tried on the right hand side to position where I couldn't get charged. It sort of worked. Everything else is where it was. Doomshaper did the spell where he can't move, push, etc. for his War Beast. Originally the Mauler was not where you see it now. It was further up beside Mulg. On the Legion player's turn, everything he had pretty much ran up. He tried to get a charge on the one Fire Eater on the right over there. However, he was about 1/8 of an inch short and didn't get the charge attack or anything. I'm sorry. Veil cast Leash on Typhon. The Slipstream Beast moved up and then took a couple models with it. The Angelius ran all the way up here to be in my front arc and be annoying for this turn. I think he was trying to bait me. The pot moved up and they started killing themselves so that he could spawn a Shredder the next round. Veil arced through her Angelius and got Rampager onto the Mauler. And then the Mauler promptly turned around and whacked Doomshaper in the face. Now, as my friend and I understood the rules, at the end of that attack, he is no longer an enemy model. So I transferred all the damage he did back to himself. At least that's how we understood it. Alright, so here we have the top of turn 2. It is my turn. Doomshaper has feeded. And we're going to try to kill some things. He managed to move up just a little bit, and the Scroll Bearer moved up and had to be turned around backwards just to get base to base with him. He then did the scroll where warrior models got an additional die, dropped the lowest, and then proceeded to do nothing else. He had Admonition had fallen off of Mulg last round. I forgot to say that. That's how Mulg got to where he was. And at this point I started assaults on the left hand side with the Fire Eaters into the Angelius. Got it down to very few boxes. I was actually very surprised. 2 of the charge attacks actually hit. The Fire Eater in the back left, the blue flame, assaulted the pot, but didn't do some negligible damage, nothing big. Then Mulg came in and did what Mulg does and killed the Angelius, and then goaded 2 inches further up trying to get closer. He did his Animus, so Rune Breaker, so that no spells could be cast while within 6 inches of him. On the right hand side, I did as many assaults and sprays as I could and killed a good chunk of the Hex Hunters. I originally thought I was going to have a line on Veil, who was at 0 camp with my Earthborn, and on feet turn I was going to try to walk up and just smash her in the face several times. The only problem with that is I advanced my Axer and was going to spin him just enough to attack the one guy that was in the way and still keep the Earthborn in his arc so that he could do his Animus for +2 inches of movement. However, I forgot to spin him, so I was unable to do that. So the Earthborn attempts a charge at the Rake right there and ends up being, again, about 1/8 of an inch out of any charge attacks. And at this point I feeded. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't think he can remove anything other than maybe some Fire Eaters, and then we're just going to move on from there. So on his turn, he gets to about here. The Hex Hunters charged in, killed off 2 of my Fire Eaters. The one that's got the knockdown token was killed and made a tough roll. Or actually, he made several toughs against shooting from the 4-winged beast, whose name I can't remember. Vale had to back up a little bit to get out of the Runebreaker from Mulg. She then sent Typhon into Mulg and couldn't kill him with Typhon, and then attempted with a couple other attacks to finish Mulg off. But between the healing and him rolling 1 less damage die due to the feat turn, and me spawning whelps in some of his charge lanes, he wasn't able to do that. The Pot, in a last-ditch effort to kill Mulg, assaulted with the Shredder, didn't manage to kill him, and then after he feeded, this is where all of his beast ended up at. He moved the Rake up and jumped him right in front of my caster, essentially just trying to be annoying and make me have to deal with him. So this is my next turn. Everything pretty much advances up. My Earthborn had survived the counterpunch he'd tried to put into it with some minor damage. My Earthborn then charged or he didn't charge, he just walked over and was going to kill the Scythian. I left the Scythian on 3 boxes because my Earthborn failed to hit on 2 of the attacks, and you know, sometimes the dice aren't with you. Mulg walked over in between the Fire Eaters, putting in a good amount of damage into Typhon, and then Mulg himself, he was able to kill Typhon. The one Fire Eater stood up and attempted to spray at some Hex Hunters, but didn't do a whole lot. I went a little heavy on my Fury this turn, expecting a lot of things to die. The Bouncer came up and was trying to kill some other things just to get rid of threats to Doomshaper, and managed to do so, but he was maxed out at Fury. My Axer had moved up, but I didn't thresh or anything. I was just trying to kill it because I would have threshed my own model. At the end of the day, I ended up having to use my Mauler to beat the snot out of the Rake that was right in front of my caster. Managed to kill him, but he's also at full Fury. So right now on the table, I've got around 20 Fury, and Doomshaper is still camping 2 or 3. I'd cast Implacability again, and then put Admonition up on my caster just because I figured he's Legion, he's going to try and end run around something. Previous turn I'd used several whelps to snack and heal Mulg, and this turn I'd used several of the whelps to snack and heal and do Fury management, so we'll see what happens at the start of the next round. So this is him at the end of his turn. He'd moved up his Hex Hunters and put several shots at Doomshaper. He missed several of them, and then I managed to transfer off 1 Fury and onto my Axer, which had no Fury on it. He attempted to get some hits in on Mulg, however he couldn't move his 3 hit point Warbeast far enough out of my Earthborn's area without taking a free strike to do so, so he ended up just killing my Earthborn. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not that worried about the peace trade. It got done what needed to be done. The Rake came up and put more shots into several things and finally killed off the Fire Eater that was right there, and put a shot or 2 into my Axer, but didn't do a whole lot of damage to it. And Vale is sitting behind the 4-winged beast on 2 or 3 Fury, I'm not sure how many, and is just waiting on Mulg to try not to come over and kill her. Alright, so on my turn I do some Fury management and manage to pull in enough that I don't frenzy on Mulg or my Mauler. Actually, the Mauler passed his frenzy check, and at the time I'd had him where he would have attacked the Scroll Bearer had he come into that. This turn I decided just to do the Scroll Bearer moved up and with my caster, and we did the Warbeast for free Animus that he can do. Doomshaper himself upkept Admonition. He didn't cast any other spells because at this point I didn't think it was going to matter. He then proceeded to, with his staff, kill kill one of the Hex Hunters that was in the way. My Bouncer came up and killed another one and is in the way of a few others, and still within, I think he's still within the Shield Guard range because that's why I had him in the list. My Axer went up and did what he could to the one light warp, or to the 4-winged heavy beast there, and the Scythian that was in the way. I then assaulted, or no, I then charged in with Mulg, figuring, or no, I'm sorry, let me back up. My Axer put his Animus for free onto Mulg, giving him 6 inches of movement. So I then just walked over with Mulg and commenced to beating the snot out of Vale 1. However, you may notice that Mulg is not on the table and it is my turn. So if you're wondering how this happened, apparently Vale has an ability that once per turn she can spend a Fury and transfer half the damage she takes back to the War Beast that did it to her. I was unaware of this. She'd taken about half of her damage boxes because I was only my dice were going cold and I was only getting 3 or 4. And then I finally cranked the damage on one of my hits, and well, that's when he decided, okay, that's half of that's going to be enough to kill Mulg, so that's what we're going to do. And I dropped her down to about 4 boxes, and then Mulg was dead. At this point, I was kind of out of ideas because I didn't know that she could do that. So my Fire Eaters come over and decide to assault her because, well, if I'm going to go for all the marbles, let's go for it. One of my Fire Eaters comes up, sprays the Fire Eater in front of him to put him on fire, and manages to crank the damage roll on him and kills him. And he failed his tough check, so what can you do? The second Fire Eater that assaulted in sprayed Vale, hit her, did a little bit of damage, but did get her on fire, which is the big thing. And then both of them, then the one that had assaulted and hit her tried his charge attack and failed miserably. So at this point I'm thinking, great, I've lost the game. I've lost Mulg. They're gonna kill that Axer, and we're going to get into a peace trade where at the end of the day, if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up with Doomshaper on the ass end of a whole bunch of spells from Legion. Now, there is no other picture after this picture. That is because the fire did not go out on Lilith. Or, I'm sorry, Vale. Didn't go out on Vale. Why do I keep saying she's a Lilith? So, takes a damage roll and kills her outright, and another troll victory. I was very surprised with this list at the amount of work that I got out of my Fire Eaters. Pretty much killing a heavy short. I think he had about 6 boxes left after their assaults and hits. Helping to kill another heavy and leaving him on probably about 10 or 12 boxes, which obviously once Mulg comes into contact, Mulg kills whatever he hits. And then helping take out a bunch of Hex Hunters. I mean, the Fire Eaters, I think, are a good unit. I've seen them in some battle reports and not in others. I'm going to continue to try them in this list. I did not have the stone in this list, which is why I had the bouncer in there. And that's mainly because when I went to the tournament, or the game day, I didn't realize that I didn't have my... I was trying to pack up my stone and everything else, and just didn't have the space for it. End of the day, I think this was a good battle. Let me know what y'all think, and like, subscribe, comment, and I'll do my best to respond as quick as I can.